I mean, it's just silly. It's just silly, isn't it? They wouldn't even sell him for 250 million, right? Right? Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And we've got some mental stuff to go through today. Now, the validity of which I cannot verify, but it's just even worth speculating. It's just worth talking about, isn't it? So I saw this in like one news thing like a couple of days ago, and I was like, okay, it's just one news outlet. It's not a particularly big one, but I've started to see it crop up over the last day or so. So supposedly, Chelsea have just rejected a bid for Cole Palmer from Man City for £150 million. Well, there's so much to unpack there. But before we get into it, if you are enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. So yeah, man, the article states that City have put in a 150 mil bid for Cole Palmer, which is just funny in itself, isn't it? Because obviously that's like more than 3 times what we paid for him. And if it is true, that obviously means that Pep's got some egg on his face, doesn't it? Because he let him go pretty easily. Obviously, the whole situation with Cole Palmer, he never actually wanted to leave City in the first place. He's been very open and honest about it in interviews. And he said he obviously had that kind of breakout season where he was scoring goals for fun and, you know, looking like a really good talent. And he came forward to, you know, the brass at City and said, I want to go on loan. And they point blank said to him, you either stay here and fight for your spot or we sell you, but a loan is not an option. And this is a time where they'd not long come off winning a treble and the squad was absolutely stacked and they'd still win in the Premier League and stuff. So for like a 20-year-old kid, man, yeah, he's like, well, you know what? Fair enough then. I guess I'll get sold because I don't want to go on loan. And I really respect that about Cole Palmer. He absolutely wanted to start his career and he loved it at City. Obviously he's a Manchester lad, although he was a Man United fan when he was a kid. We'll forgive him for that. But yeah, he just proper wanted to start his career and he didn't want to find himself out on this like, you know, loan journey where it's just a really tricky one, isn't it? Loans can be really good, but at the end of the day, he was right. Do you know what I mean? He was right that he was definitely good enough to start featuring in a team and he wanted to be connected to a team. Do you know what I mean? He didn't just want to be some asset getting shipped about or, you know, having his value raised or squashed or whatever. He's like, no, I want to go and play football and I want to be in the heart of a team. And obviously Chelsea swooped in and paid the absolute bargain price of 40 mil to get him on the books when you look at it in retrospect. Absolutely mental. But yeah, I mean, it was never his choice to leave City. Do you know what I mean? It was definitely something that they made him do. They were like, stay and fight for your spot or get sold, but you're not going on loan. He wanted guaranteed playing time, or at least he wanted to know that he was going to be in a team where he was likely to be able to fight for game time. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously at the end of the day, at that point in time in particular, just before Poch's first season, after the Graham Potter debacle, he was probably looking at the Chelsea team being like, yeah, I'll get in that team. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you're looking at, you know, your Kevin De Bruyne's, your Bernardo Silvas and whatever. And obviously they just bought like Savinho and Doku, and getting into that Man City team against all of these other guys probably looked like a bit more of a struggle. So he made the right choice and it's been mostly flowers and sunshine ever since. So to hear the news that City are potentially coming back in for some huge bid for him, I mean, maybe it's true because, you know, we're not just seeing that they're interested. Supposedly there's been a bid rejected, right? And that sort of news normally only appears when things are actually starting to happen. But apparently the Chelsea brass have said we want 250 mil for him, and if that is true, this is all caveated with if this is true, by the way, because the sources aren't exactly like The Athletic, do you know what I mean? But it's still worth talking about. And the other interesting thing about that is everyone's got a price, right? Like, even as amazing as Cole Palmer is, the brass, the Blueco guys, they back themselves to find another one, do you know what I mean? And you know, they will let anyone go for the right money, and supposedly they deem 250 mil to be the right money. Now, for me, and this article said, like, most Chelsea fans would not even be happy with 250 mil. Like, I 100% fall into that category, by the way. I don't think Cole Palmer, I think he should be completely untouchable. Barcelona used to do this thing, didn't they, where they'd sign, because they lost a few players, they'd sign new players up on long contracts, and they'd give them, like, £500 million release clauses just to protect themselves from people coming in and activating release clauses and stuff. But yeah, for me, it's like, I can't even think of an amount of money, really. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I get at the end of the day, if someone pays 250 mil, it's not about the money, is it? It's about the reinvestment and the opportunity at the time. The thing about Cole Palmer in particular is he was not just a player that everyone was looking at and we won this massive tussle for him. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like kind of unimpeded, really. Do you know what I mean? We kind of went in for him. He chose us as much as we chose him, and no one really knew how it was going to go. So the great thing about the Cole Palmer situation is it's been one of those explosions that came out of nowhere, and obviously that's always really fun to see. But yeah, like I say, we weren't like fighting and tussling with loads of other teams for his signature or anything like that. And even if you get 250 mil, which don't get me wrong, like I just don't think, that's more than Neymar was bought for. So that's crazy money that we're talking about. But even if it's like, what do you do with that 250 mil at the moment? How do you replace a Cole Palmer in your team? I don't know. It's so risky. Do you know what I mean? It's so risky. I can't really see a player out there other than Isaac. Do you know what I mean? And that isn't even guarantee. Obviously, very different positions and stuff. I guess you go for Morgan Rogers and maybe go for Isaac if you've got that kind of money. But we're just playing silly buggers now, aren't we? Because obviously none of that is probably going to happen. I just really wanted to raise it, and I'd love to know what you guys think. Right? Would you be happy to sell Cole Palmer for £250 million if that came in? Do you think there are players out there that we could reinvest that money in and replace his output? Do you know what I mean? It's like, 14 goals last season, 20 odd the year before. Obviously, he's just coming back into form again. Is there a single player out there on the market right now, whether they were up for sale or not? When you've got 250 mil, you can basically go and get anyone. Let me know in the comments, man. If you're like me and you're just like, no, there's no amount of money that is worth Cole Palmer because his story is so special and he feels so integral to the team, or if you've got an idea of someone that for that 250 mil we could replace him with, and should that bid come in, which it won't, by the way, it won't, but should it come in, it's just fun to speculate, isn't it? So moving on, the big news over the last day or so has been about João Félix, right? Which is just wanted to kind of come out of nowhere, hasn't it? And now it's just like everywhere. So João Félix was inching very slowly closer and closer and closer to Benfica. They were really trying to harangue us for the deal, man. Like they only wanted to pay 25 mil. We bought him for 42, but he's on a contract until 2030, so we kind of had to do something to get rid of him, do you know what I mean? And no one else was seemingly showing any interest, so it just felt like as we were crawling closer and closer to it, that Benfica deal was eventually going to go through, and we were ostensibly going to lose out in the end of it. I'd already kind of said about this, like, I think that's a great move for João Félix. He's 25, by the way. He's still only 25, which is so young. He could go to Benfica for a couple of years. If he can refine that form, maybe he's got one more big move in him. If he doesn't, then at least he can play football in his home, right? But no, he has outrightly rejected that homecoming because the superhero club that is Al-Nassr have come in with a combined £42 million bid for João Félix, and we have snapped it up like that. So it's not as fairy tale a story, the homecoming of João Félix or whatever, but obviously from a Chelsea fan perspective, taking any care for João Félix out of it, obviously for us it works great. We're essentially going to get back what we paid for him, and he must be excited for it, man, because he gets to go and play with Ronaldo. Do you know what I mean? It's like, obviously they already played together in the Portugal national team, and now potentially he's going to go and get to spend a couple of seasons, which is another interesting thing that I'll get into, but a couple of seasons playing with Ronaldo in Saudi Arabia for a huge amount of money. And maybe this doesn't improve his footballing prospects so much because the quality of the league is still suspect, but he seems happy to do it, and obviously we're happy to do it. The deal is not just 42 mil, wham bam, thank you ma'am. There is a little bit of more structured nuance to it. So it's going to be 26 mil up front, which is basically just over what Benfica were looking at paying, and you got to think if Benfica were going to pay that wouldn't have been up front, that would have been spread over the course of his contract or over a few years or whatever, and an additional 16 mil in add-ons, bringing it up to that 42. So we're not, that 26 mil, bam, that goes on the books right now, wicked. And I don't know if it's add-ons like you are going to get these add-ons, or whether it's stuff that he's actually got to achieve, like score so many goals, make so many appearances. I didn't see anything like that, but it just says add-ons. And yeah, man, 42 mil for João Félix, 26 mil in the bag right now is good. Do you know what I mean? Is good, obviously. We have got so many players that we need to shift out. But before I get into those, the last thing about this that is interesting is it is only on a 2-year deal. So João Félix obviously doesn't expect to be plying his trade in Saudi Arabia long term, and obviously maybe still has his eye on that one big move later in the future. Maybe he could do like a Germany or a France, or do you know what I mean? There's still some places that haven't tried him yet. I'm sure there's still a lot of Italian teams that would take him, but it depends on how he does over those 2 years, doesn't it? So good luck, João Félix. It has been kind of nothing. Do you know what I mean? It's a shame, really, because obviously he had a lot of potential and he looked like a really exciting player, but it just never took off, really. Never took off. I never wished him ill will. I do wish him well. I think the Benfica move would ultimately have been better for him, if I'm being completely honest. But at the end of the day, he's chosen the bag and the opportunity to go and play with Ronaldo in Saudi Arabia, where he will be looked after and treated very well. So, including that transfer, that supposedly brings our current transfer business for this window up to over 130 million, which isn't bad, but there's still a really long way to go. So as far as permanent sales go, we have now sold João Félix, Noni Madueke, Jordi Petrovic, Matisse Amugu, Bashir Humphreys, Kepa Arrizabalaga, and Marcus Bettinelli. So all of those players have officially gone off the books. No loans, no silly buggers, no nothing. They are just gone. That's 130 mil raised. But we still have left to sell Christopher Nkunku, Raheem Sterling, Ben Chilwell, Armando Broja, Axel Disasi, Renato Vega, and Leslie Ugochukwu that are all supposedly still being touted as players available for sale. So, you know, we could be looking at like easily 200 mil plus for all of those. Do you know what I mean? But it could be like 250 mil that we make in this window by the end of it. And hopefully that will be enough to satisfy UEFA's issue they have with us, so we're allowed to start registering our new players in the Champions League. And just two little tidbits of news left to wrap up the video with, and the first one is concerning Jorrel Hato, 19-year-old superstar left back of Ajax. So he has been asked to be left out of the pre-season tour or whatever. I don't know if they've started it already, but whatever is left of the pre-season tour of Ajax will not feature Jorrel Hato. So he is looking to kind of force through this move to Chelsea now. So you can only expect that very soon we are going to see that in the news, which is really good. I'll juxtapose this with one thing I saw. I haven't actually seen a huge amount about it, but I saw something somewhere about apparently Al-Nassr being interested in Marc Cucurella as well. No, that absolutely can't happen. We can't bring in Jorrel Hato to be the first backup to Marc Cucurella that we've had in ages and then sell Marc Cucurella and be like, right, well, Jorrel Hato, you're the left back for the season now and you're going to play every single game. But no, I don't think that'll happen. Marc Cucurella is just a cult icon at this point, isn't he? So I'm pretty sure he's going nowhere. But yeah, Jorrel Hato, we are edging closer, and you would hope that means we're edging closer to the Xavi Simons and ever closer to the double Dutch. And I have mentioned it before on this channel, but it seems to have gone through officially now. Mike Penders has joined Strasbourg on loan. So that puts a complete end to any idea that he was going to fight for first or be the backup keeper for this season. It looks squarely like we're going to keep hold of Philip Jorgensen now. I'm still not seeing anything about goalkeepers coming into the club in general. I did a video quite recently that if you are interested about what I think about the goalkeeper situation, you should absolutely check out. It is a comparison video between Robert Sanchez last year and Man City's Ederson from when they won the league in the 2021 season. And the whole idea was just basically to look at Robert Sanchez in a vacuum and say, can he be as good as Ederson was in that year? How close are they? And, you know, is it even possible for Sanchez to kind of become our first choice keeper, or is it just going to be a nightmare if we keep hold of him? And, you know, there were some interesting outcomes in the video. So essentially, TLDR, as a shot stopper, he's pretty good, but his playing with his feet needs work, and he needs to just cut out the errors, man. Like, the errors are absolutely crazy. If you want a bit more of an in-depth, detailed breakdown of that situation, go and have a look. But yeah, basically, I'm just pretty sure it looks like we're going to have Sanchez for the next season now. There is some noise about Donnarumma. And don't get me wrong, I really like Donnarumma. I sort of remember being interested in just his general career when he was playing, you know, first team football at AC Milan at the age of 16. Do you know what I mean? So Donnarumma is a really, really quality keeper, despite getting battered by us in the Club World Cup final. But I just think it's going to be the money thing, man. I just think it's too much money. We do need a proper keeper, do you know what I mean? And I'm still not 100% sure if Sanchez can develop and evolve into his final form in that case. And I would love to see Donnarumma, but he's just going to want a huge amount of money, and I don't know, man, it just seems quite counter. I guess it's a little bit different from the rest of the squad, because it's not like we've got another obvious choice that's going to be annoyed. Like, no one's going to be bothered if Sanchez is a bit annoyed that we've brought Donnarumma in, do you know what I mean? Ultimately, what we just want to see is a good, solid, confident keeper in between the sticks. You know, but maybe the likes of Cole Palmer would be annoyed if, you know, Donnarumma came in on like 300k a week or something. I don't really know. I just don't really see it as a likely option, to be honest. I think we've explored it, but I just don't think he'd be willing to accept, you know, taking a pay cut or remaining on what he's on. And I think if he's going to move, he's going to want it to be big bucks. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, Mike Penders at Strasbourg, right? So Mike Penders is supposedly the Courtois regen that we've all been waiting for, hopefully a bit less of a snake. And I think this is a great move. Jordi Petrovic has obviously done really well out there this season. Liam Rosenior has just recently signed a new contract, keeping him to 2028, I think it is. So, do you know what I mean? He's obviously doing really well at Strasbourg as well. So it is kind of all good vibes and happening over there at the moment. And Mike Penders could spend a year or two out there. Do you know what I mean? I don't suppose we're going to be as keen to sell him as we were with Petrovic, because he's obviously so young and, you know, they found him through the data. And it'll be really interesting to see what happens with that, right? Definitely be one worth keeping an eye on. So that's it, guys. I'm going to wrap up the video there. Thank you so much for sticking around. I will always, as ever, be keeping my ear to the ground for more Chelsea news. I hope you guys are having a wicked day, and I'll catch up with you very, very soon. Peace.